Alrighty, and we should be live. Standard check. That screen says we are, that screen says we are. We should be good. Alrighty. So, as the title of the stream says, we've got some Zone Mortalis stuff. Some of the guys are interested in doing like boarding action and stuff like that. So I've, instead of buying the boarding action terrain, because it's, you know, it's nice looking terrain, I just preferred this stuff, and it is the same general shape anyway, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, I figured I'll grab some of this and do a couple of test pieces. I've got more out there, and I've got there's lots of different add-on parts, like bits that go on the top that you can use as platforms and stuff like that, to add a bit more variety instead of just walls, columns and doors like boarding action. So we're going to try and keep it pretty simple. I've sprayed these with Incubi Darkness just through the airbrush. Then I'm going to try and dry brush them up a little bit. In the center here I want to go for like a beige color, so I'm thinking I'll do Xandri Dust, stipple in some lighter colors and try and bring that closer up to, what color is that one? Screaming Skull maybe, or a Shabty Bone. Yeah. So the first thing is going to be dry brushing. I'm using an MDF block that I had laying around, instead of using a paper towel, because this just hopefully, if watching YouTube's taught me anything, should give me a smoother finish on the highlights. And that sort of works. Most of this isn't going to be like, I'm not going to be doing a lot of metals with it. I will airbrush some OSL at some point, but for the most part I'm going to just keep it pretty simple. So we're going to go pretty reasonably heavy with the dry brush on this, and then this one, by the way, is Cabalite Green, if I didn't say. So I figure we go reasonably heavy with this to build up a bit, and then a light dry brush of Cyberite Green, which is the next one up. So even then we start to get a lot of good definition. I've seen similar stuff done with the Dark Angels colours and salamanders and all sorts of stuff. Oh, that's too much. The box art for this is greys, so I'm guessing it's Administratum grey followed, oh sorry, Mechanicus Standard grey, then Administratum grey, because Mechanicus is the base. And then, at worst case, this doesn't work out how I want. I've got the ultrasonic cleaner there, I can always strip back and try again. It's probably, for a lot of people, might consider this a bit too dark of a colour. But when we compare it to a lot of the armies that we play around here are very bright. So my main army is Lead Belcher. My custodians, of course, being gold. The Thousand Suns are bright red. A lot of our colours end up being really bright, so having some darker terrain to contrast that, I think is quite nice. Some of these colours will be interesting to try and do. The tops will just be this, and then of course metal details here. Slot it in and we can have a look and see that we're about right there. That matches that pretty well. We'll do the next top as well. I won't be doing the beige or tan or whatever you want to call it on these top panels. I just want to keep these as simple as possible. One of the reasons I love the Zone Mortalis stuff is you can actually flip that upside down and then it becomes multi-level as well. So where boarding action is all like one level, with Zone Mortalis you can add up. Which means if we don't end up doing much boarding action stuff, I can find more creative ways to use it. And when we do organize stuff or look at doing stuff like boarding action or kill team or that, very often we don't stick with it for very long. We just go back to playing normal 40k. So if I'm going to do something, I want to do something that I can use just for normal 40k as well. I remember when Aeronautica Imperialis talk came out, there was a lot of talk of doing some stuff with that, and then I was the only one that ever bought anything, and I never even finished painting it. Dry brushing's a really nice technique for this sort of stuff. We're getting a lot of definition, a lot of colour, with not a lot of effort. As long as I remember to pat off enough paint. I also did consider doing the opposite, where I had tan on the outside and the greens on the inside of the arches. I haven't fully decided against that, but we're just going to see how these test models go for now. Like I said, I can always come back and change and adjust things later. I think I've seen people do like a marbled effect with these same colours now that I'm watching it come onto here. And I don't have any of the like Zone Mortalis boards or anything at the moment. Like the tile set, or the Necromunda one comes with, like the Necromunda box set comes with Zone Mortalis terrain and the cardboard game mat. But I don't have any of that stuff yet, so in the future I'd like to get it. For now it'll probably just be set it up on a on the game mats that I've already got, if we do it. But it would be really nice to have all that extra stuff. I think to make a full-size boarding action thing, you need, I think it's 2 sets of the Zone Mortalis tiles to make up like 1 board size. That'll definitely be, that'll be something for a later date. I know there's some there's a few companies that do MDF ones, which look fantastic on paper, but I don't know if I'd, because I love MDF terrain, but for something like that, I don't know if I could add enough extra detailing and stuff to make it not look like MDF. Because I'm pretty sure Knights of Dice have one, and Dark Castle Terrain is another one. It's something I'll probably look at in the future. I do know the floor tiles will be more of a metallic colouring, no matter what I end up going for. I'm just not picking up enough paint, am I? There, we can just do a quick bit around here. Same on this one. Just don't want the edges being completely black. Try and wash this one up, and then we'll move on to the next colour. I was supposed to change out my water pot before I started today, but I might have forgotten. So that one can go back. Bit of noise. Oh, that's not as noisy as I thought it was. Looking at levels. It's definitely going to be audible though. You'd think I would have checked that before today, given I've been using it for a week. 2 weeks I think now. So just pretty light on this one. So the first coat's about adding definition, this one's just about adding a little bit of brightness. You can see a bit of the difference there. Just same over the top here as well. I also think this is the same thing I've done for the Nexus, the Genestealer Cult Nexus, for his little hollow table. I think I've done the same colours. By the time we do the metallics, that'll add a lot more pop as well. Well, every colour we're going to add is going to add a lot of pop to this, because it's such a basic terrain. Yeah, we're not going anything too complicated. The most complicated thing we're going to have later is actually picking out the metals. That's going to be some fine detail work, because we're going to want to make sure we don't mess up all our dry brushing and stuff by painting metal straight over top of it. Right, so that's that. Let's clear up this brush before I move on to the next thing. So I'm just using some alcohol-based hand sanitizer, because that will eat away at most of the paint. This one's an aloe vera one, because it's also a moisturizer, which I found does actually help the brushes a little bit to stay in better shape. the bin. So yeah, Xandri dust. Maybe. I say maybe because I just looked in the pot and there is not much in there. We should be able to get enough to work with for this stuff. I think I have some more in the garage. It's not fully on that paint there. Alright, go with this brush to start with. I'll load some onto the palette. Yeah, I normally have a couple of pots of Xandri dust laying around because it's one of the paints that I really almost always find a use for it on models, even if it's just something like using it as a base coat for a purity seal or stuff like that. Right, we'll start on this one. So just maybe it's going to be a little too thin. Well, we are going over a dark colour, so no, it'll be right. We'll make it work. That'll just need 2 coats, maybe 3. And when it comes to doing the smaller parts, I'll just come back with a smaller brush. Now there's, sorry, in the kit there's also extra gribblies you can add onto these walls. One of them, for example, is on one of these panels you add a joiner for the thermic conduit things. I haven't added any of them in yet. I will be at a later date. But all of the other zone Mortalis terrain I have isn't even primed yet. These are the only ones that I've even primed. Just do some test models. But it's not very pretty at the moment. Come back and fill in these little holes, the little sections. At this point I'm questioning whether I should have just done the should have base coated it in this colour rather than try to add this colour later. Oh well. Too late now. It's also one of those times when I wish I had a hairbrush, hair dryer, so I could speed along and get it all ready, get it all dried, and then come back in and tidy up. There's going to be a lot of stuff to tidy up later. That'll be fine. Because of where, like, sitting on those flat surfaces there, when I tidy it up, I'll just tidy up with Inky by Darkness, which shouldn't, it's far enough into the recesses that it shouldn't affect any of the highlights. Let that sit for a while longer. So next is these ones. Actually, think about Wraithbone probably would have been a better colour here. Because that's the base colour for contrast paints, I think it is. I think it's called Wraithbone. I don't have any. I've run out. Between a few things that I had to, well, I say a few things, between things I had to paint for myself out of it, I've used a lot, and then I've also been painting some stuff for a friend, and I think his ran out like halfway through his last model, and then I used the last of mine to finish it. But at that point I was already having to replace mine anyway, so it didn't matter. When I make it to the stores next week, I can replace it. Next week I should be able to make it down to, well, since I'm going down to Ark, I should be able to make it into House of War at some point. I'm sure there's going to be heaps of other things I'm going to work out that I want by the time I get down there. I don't remember which paint brands they stock because they don't have a web store, which, given how big their store is, I find a little surprising. Because their store is massive. You can order things, like you can message the store and order them and then just like transfer the money or whatever, apparently, because I haven't done it. But yeah, no dedicated web store. Because I think they say they're like the biggest store in the southern hemisphere or something. They've certainly got a massive range of stuff. I'm always shocked when I go in there because there's a lot of stuff that you look at and go, these guys are probably the only store in Australia that stock this. Yeah, we're getting somewhere now. So we'll do a second coat of the Xandri dust everywhere, just to even it out, and then we'll start on the lighter colour, which will move up to Shabti Bone. So this is just making a Xandri dust is just to try and give a light enough base colour that we're not going to do 5 coats of a Shabti Bone. Instead we're going to do 1 or 2 coats of a Shabti Bone and 2 coats of Xandri dust. Because otherwise, trying to work getting Xandri dust to go to an like full opaqueness, it takes forever. Most of the layer paints are not designed to go straight over something dark. That's why they're layer paints. Once again, it's like I would love to be able to skip forward and have this ready so I can just work on the next colour and show you, but downsides of live streaming, I have to go through all of the steps in front of you. What will happen at some point, if depending on how this goes, and if I end up using this as a as the final colour scheme, is I can be able to do a video on it. And because I've already done the live stream and the test models, that drastically reduces the amount of time it takes later on, because I don't have to go back and decide that that colour doesn't work and I've got to strip this back and then repaint. I get to decide early on what I'm doing. These little looks here will get done as well at some point, but at the moment Just want to see how it all comes together. Apparently I missed that side altogether when I've done it before. Oh well. Mistakes were made. I'll come back and do that later. Well, I'll put the first coat down now and then I'll put the second coat down later. That's that done. That side didn't get a second coat by the looks of it. Too busy trying to move on to the next colour. Alright, Shabty Bone. See if this one's going to be any good, because this one looks like it's half empty. And possibly has too much sediment sitting in the bottom. So at worst case I'll pivot over to Carrick Stone, which is a similar colour. No, this should be alright. Just going to take a little bit more mixing. Yeah, that looks better as a base colour. Better as the main colour, I should say, because it's not really base. Nice bright colour to contrast the dark green. Yeah, I'm kind of digging this. mostly what I had in mind, I think. If I can finish these up for the weekend, I can even take some photos on the fancy backdrop I've got. Because by the weekend I've got to have all the streaming stuff set up, so the backdrop and stuff will have to get packed away until a later date. One of the other options I'd come up with as well was, instead of doing green, was to do it all in silver, dry brush it, and then just put contrast into these parts. But the way contrast sort of gets that mottled appearance, I decided against it. It does, however, cover really easily and creep up on the edges really well, so it is easier to do. Start painting the wrong section. Getting there. I think I'm going to have to let this all sit and dry better, and then do the last coat. While I wait for that, I'm gonna grab some lead belcher, because we can add in some other colours, start building up a better idea of how things are going to be. So, things like we can start in the tops here. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to be super precise with it. wires that are running through there can probably be touched up with a different colour or just even left as is. The pipes are the main thing. And then once I finish, like once all the pipes and stuff are dry, silicanum grey contrast paint will probably just be sloshed in there everywhere. What's that one? That's bronze, bright bronze. Is this going to be a good colour for? So these little panels here, because I can weather them up a little bit. And then we've got some similar stuff where we've got like these panels here. What colour do we do them? Do we do them silver? Do we do them bronze? When we look at here, but maybe this one's bronze. It looks a little more gold than anything at the moment, but yeah, we can just add accents here of different colours. Make a huge freaking mess of things. Because I forgot to dry the brush first before I soaked up all the stuff. They don't have to all be bronze or the same colour even. So let's do some in silver, some in bronze. Maybe some of the pipes are in copper. Which would be base coloured as a bronze anyway. Because it's a test, if we decide later on that we want to do all of this stuff as like the bronze because it stands out better, or we want to do it all as the lead belcher, we can. It'll just mean we either strip or paint over. So as you can see, it's all just about getting an idea for what sort of colours we want to use rather than being really strict about it. I do like the copper panels so far. And we could add in, like as stuff dries, add in some oxides and weathering and stuff like that. Even on the top here, like maybe there's some, maybe that pipe there is copper. Not fully dried yet, but it's okay. You know, that lever there, that looks big and important, so what if we just come in and paint it red? We don't have to go all the way down to the bottom, but it adds that little bit of visual interest without us having to do a lot of effort. I wouldn't want to go through and do, like, pick out every single detail that's here. I think that'd be a little bit silly. But we can just add 1 or 2 spot colors per piece. For here, that's mostly going to be, well, the 2 spot colors are going to be these panels and the light. The lights are going to be the same across the entire collection, so we have to work out what color we want to do that. And then we'll go from there. I will probably put a poll up on Twitter and YouTube about, you know, what color lighting we should use for it. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, we've kind of got to wait for everything to dry and do extra coats. So later on tonight, when everything's dried and I've finished these coats, yeah, I'll put up some posts and stuff and we can have a chat about it. Otherwise, that's it for the day. Thanks for popping along. Have a good one.